Hello, good morning. Thank you very much for always tuning in. I am Ibrahim Abalde. It's good to be back here on another edition of QTV this morning. How is your Tobaski preparation going? Well, I know we've almost reached at the climax now, you know.
We have.
Yes.
We're on the cusp of
Exactly. So, you know, we are only left with today. Tomorrow it's Tobaski, inshallah. And people going up country are currently busy on the road flying.
I was going to say, if you go on the roads, you see people with big Ghana must go bags, like really huge ones, and thinking, you know, where are they going? They're only going for a week or less.
Even this morning, I have to wake up around 3 a.m.
Right.
I mean, to drive some of my relatives to the bus station at GTSC. I was here at 4:04 in QTV studios, you know. So you can see how people want to go for Tobaski, you know, to connect with their families up country.
I mean, it's one of the things I've noticed since I came to the Gambia is that almost everybody who lives in the urban area comes from a rural area. And so when you have Tobaski, you have Korite, people go back to their family towns or villages, and you see this kind of mass movement of humans on the road, and it's quite something to see. And you know, we'll be capturing some stories.
Well, it is very interesting. During my days in Basse, you know, I spent some Tobaskis in Basse in the past, and you can see how the environment, I mean, looks when everybody comes home. I mean, people from Europe, America, other parts of the world. People living in the combos, you know, you all meet up in Basse and you realize, okay, on the whole, we have all these people in our town. So mostly people go home for big feast like Tobaski, not Korite.
Yes,
exactly.
Tobaski
so
mainly,
Mr. Boy, just Tobaski mood. You can feel the environment.
It's the big one. Absolutely. You feel it in all sorts of ways.
The flight over from UK was full of people who said they were coming back for Tobaski. The plane was full.
Yes.
You know.
So the ambience. You know, everybody looking forward to it,
that's right,
as it were. So,
and the complaints about RAM prices.
Absolutely.
That will never go away.
Exactly.
You know.
It's a moment of renewal.
I
mean, the last time we talked about it, we talked about, you know, people even going to the extent of changing the curtains, maybe painting the house, sort of. So it's that kind of feeling.
Exactly. It's important for us to, I mean, recognize. I'm a bit confused. There's a lot of things going on in my
It's okay,
ear.
it's okay. I mean, so let me take it from here. We're talking about all these things. So one of the things that, you know, we had a discussion yesterday in the office, and we were going out and we were doing all these stories about Tobaski, this. And I said, you know what, are people losing the kind of essence of what it's about? It's kind of what the Christians have done with Christmas. If you live in the West, it's all about presents and stuff, rather than about the religious aspect of it. And so, you know, if people watched Usman Jatta's story, I don't know whether we have it and we probably can play it. He went to check on the Wantel. You know, we're talking about people buying new garments, new shoes. They're going and haggling with the Wantel people. But why is it? You know, what is Tobaski linked to? And because we take it away from the Eid al-Adha, which is what it's about, it becomes, you know, something else.
You know, now Tobaski, people treat it as more of enjoyment and party. Of course, it's part of it, but the religious aspect of it as well.
It seems to be
getting
lost.
You can see how people compete in buying a bigger ram, you know, than just, getting the right ram for, you know, fulfilling your ritual. You know, but it's a different thing now.
And the fact that people tend to overeat, and I hope people saw Dr. Jar's program about it, where he was holding this small piece of meat, saying that's as much as you should consume. I think we discussed this. Yes. We discussed this, and people were laughing. I think only that much, you know.
Grams of meat, grams?
You know, that's not even going to scratch my belly.
Less than a half kilo. You know, so
but this is all, you know, what we're talking about, that, you know, we're never getting away from the essence of what it's about. It's the spirit of things.
Exactly.
We call it Lewin. So afterwards, it was when Oh yes, of course we did. But it was only to your relatives. So there were selected houses. You were told where to go, and then afterwards you came back home. But now, but even then, you had people, sort of random people who would come round, just turn up. My grandmother used to have lots of coins.
Yeah, right.
Lots of coins. So would give to everybody else and stuff like that. You've always had that.
Yeah,
but for us, it was only the people you knew, your relatives.
Yeah, I can remember when I was much younger, maybe around the age of 11. You know, we used to visit our grandpa who used to live in Abuko. You know, we walk from Latrikunda, sometimes from Bundung. We go straight to my grandfather in Abuko with a group of young boys. Right. And the thing is, if we get to my grandpa and he will give us $5, and that $5, that was a lot of money.
Back then,
to us, you understand?
When you were 11, yes.
You know, so all my colleagues, they'll be like, okay, this man, if we get to his grandpa, the grandpa give us $5. And that was a lot of money, can you imagine? the distance and the amount.
So was he the only one you guys would visit?
Well, he was the last.
Other people?
He was the last we visited, because we believe he gave us more money. The rest they give us 50 butu, $1.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's amazing. These are memories that people keep. I mean, when your generation passes and another generation comes, I mean, you tend to think, okay, my generation probably we have good memories. Yeah. But this younger generation too, they are going to build beautiful memories out of what they are doing. That's why when I see my kids going up and down, getting their haircut, my sons were at my room yesterday. They were like that. I mean, around 11 p.m. We need to go do our haircut now. Please give us the money.
I mean, and you know,
and I didn't do my haircut.
Some things change, but some things remain the same. I mean, Mboj and I were discussing, because somebody had posted on Facebook Odeon Cinema in Freetown, which is opposite the Catholic Cathedral. And I said that in every big town and city in Sierra Leone, there was a cinema. And going to the cinema, for me, there was a particular cinema, I think for 8 years solid. I don't think I missed a weekend when I didn't see at least one movie. Sometimes two. I would go on Saturday, I'd go on Sunday. And now there are no cinemas.
Yeah.
Either there or here in the Gambia. And that was a kind of communal experience. We would all arrange at school on Friday, such and such school, you know, film, A Pistol for Ringo, you know, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, whatever, Star Black, all these, you know, westerns and spaghetti westerns, and we would go and see them, and of course these Roman films as well. So all that kind of sense of community of you and your classmates, and then those who didn't go, on Monday they'd hear you all talking about the film and who was the actor, which is what we would say, the star, who was the star, the actor, you know. And I know Steve Reeves he starred in many of these kind of Roman films. All of that, you know, so, you know, times change. Now, you talk about cinemas, thinking, what are you talking about? Everybody watches Netflix and whatever, and they watch stuff on their computers or on their phones.
We have smart TVs.
And smart TVs.
And just before that, Nollywood. Nollywood was coming in because our generation, there was really no Nollywood, you know, in the 80s. So we took more of U.S. stuff, really African American movies, Hollywood. You know, I was into Dallas. Can you imagine something like Dallas? Stuff like that.
Yes,
so we took that. Then the generation afterwards moved on to something else.
That's right.
Well, it's important you mentioned Nollywood. They played a very important role when it comes to the African movie industry. You know, but I tend to love their old movies than the new ones. I mean,
ones that you used to get on you know, like
on a cassette. Exactly.
You know, the kind of
we used to have one movie. A friend of mine borrowed me that movie, and the title was Buried in Heaven.
Okay.
You know, two brothers. The other one is wealthy, the other one is poor.
They had lots of
but
stories
the
like that.
wealthy one, you know, sometimes you can predict how these movies end at the end of the time. But now they have so much. I think they're doing a lot of romantic movies that you cannot sit and watch with your families, you know.
Well, if you mean kind of slightly extra, but if you say romantic, I mean what they call rom-coms, you know, romantic comedies.
Exactly.
When I was flying from London to Nairobi in 2019, I think it was, I watched 4 different, Nollywood romantic comedies.
Okay.
And that one, they were family entertainment. You could watch them. They were really funny, and I loved it. And it was the first time, I have to admit, that I'd ever watched any Nollywood film from beginning to end. I'd always kind of avoided them because, the kind of production values were very, they just didn't do it for me. But after I watched that, I thought, wow, I really have missed out, because they had changed so much. They had good script, good filming, good acting, everything. It was as good as anything coming out of Hollywood. And then when I told my sisters, they were like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, really? You need to check these out.
You know, what we don't have is, I think, to censor the type of movies that we watch. I mean, sometimes I would like to watch certain movies with my kids at home. I can remember there was a scenario that happened. I was watching a movie, and things happened
that you wouldn't want your children.
I don't want my kids to see those things.
Some of them have like parental guidance.
If those things happen, I keep forwarding and forwarding.
Yeah, some of them have PG, parental guidance ratings, and if you see that, then you know that I shouldn't watch this with my children. But
there is no doubt, Nigeria, they played a very important role. Yeah. In fact, the music scene, movie scene, they've changed everything. In fact, with this Niger beats, Afrobeats, I mean, it's taking over. You can see how Americans are now jumping into the beats of Afrobeats.
The most amazing one was when Burna Boy went and played in Jamaica. You had 10,000 people singing along to Burna Boy in Kingston,
That's
Jamaica.
amazing. I saw that.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it really was.
That was amazing.
Yeah. And it just shows you how the thing has connected. And they were singing word for word.
Yeah. So what is this telling you guys? I mean,
it's about connectivity.
And Africa, and also believe in yourself.
That's part of it, of course. Of course, because these Africans, and some of them, they're quite unapologetic. Because Burna Boy, half of the stuff is in Yoruba, and yet people are chanting lyrics that they don't really understand, but they just, phonetically, they've kind of learnt them. And so they haven't compromised too much. Yes, some of it is in so-called pidgin, but some of it is in Yoruba, and these songs have managed to cross over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Be yourself.
Now, then we used to have the Bembea jazz,
hey,
we used to have,
Guinea Conakry,
is it
Rail Band from Mali?
Super Eagle.
Super Eagles, of course, of course.
My dad loved the Bembea jazz.
We all of West Africa love Bembea jazz.
He always play Bembea jazz at home.
Yeah. They were
so he keeps telling me one of their team members died in Senegal on a car accident.
Oh, wow.
I think the lead vocal something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have Babukar Sise on the line, and
the Hajj has started.
Yes, he's currently in Mecca. I mean, the Hajj has started. Today is the day of Arafat. And it's important for us to recognize Arafat. And most people this day, they will fast. I mean, to be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also, for their sins to be forgiven. So we have Babukar Sise on the line, and he will take us through what is happening in the holy city of Makkah. Babukar, good morning. How are you?
Yes, Baldia.
Alhaji Babukar. Maybe you didn't call him Alhaji.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Alhaji Babukar, good morning.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, good morning, Alhaji Babukar.
We can see you, but we can't hear you.
Yeah, so we are saying you look good.
You look resplendent in white.
All right. So please, can you take us through what is happening? We can see people sitting under a tent, wearing white. What is actually happening over there, Babukar?
Yes, Baldia. What is happening here is, as you know, today is on the 9th of Hajj, and Hajj started proper yesterday on the 8th at Makkah. So all the pilgrims left Makkah and they went to Mina. So spent the night at Mina, and then last night we all left Mina, and we are now at Arafat. As you all know, Arafat is a good day and an exciting day for all pilgrims, because it is said that Arafat is the main Hajj. All pilgrims have attended Arafat, no matter what. If you miss Arafat, you miss Hajj. That's why I say all the kind of pilgrims are gathered together.
Babuka, a silent movie for our audience.
And it's the day that when your Hajj is accepted by Allah, that means all your sins are deleted and you are like a newborn baby. So far.
Why is this day very significant as far as the Hajj is concerned?
Well, I think the significance is what I have just told you, that it is the most significant. Actually, Hajj, there are 5 days of Hajj. But among these 5 days, today, which is the 19th, the most significant day of all days. But if you miss this day, you actually miss the Hajj. But if you miss other things, there is ways to compensate for it. So if you miss Arafat, there is no ways to compensate for it. That's why it is very significant. Where all Gambian Catholics and people from all over the world come back here Arafat.
All right, Babukar, okay, from how long are they going to stay here? I mean, this location. It's like it will take some time before they move to another location.
Yes, we came here last night, we came in here, and we are here this morning. Of course, after 12 p.m. because Saudi Arabia is 3 hours ahead of Gambia. So we'll be here until again in the evening, probably around 10, 11, we will leave Arafat and go to another place called Musdalifah, which is an office.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Babukar Sise, for updating us. Today is the day of Arafat. You can see Gambian pilgrims are, behind.
All dressed in white.
All dressed in white. Probably next year I'll be there, Mr.
And you can, for our audience who didn't hear, you can probably tell them that, of course, the significance of
exactly. It is very significant.
The religion was
exactly,
affected.
absolutely.
Sound check.
It's important in such a way. If you
check.
miss this day, it's like your Hajj is not valid.
Yes,
Each and every
check,
person that you're up to go for Hajj, you must stand the day of Arafah. You must be at this location. Otherwise, your Hajj is not valid. So today is the day of Arafah, very important in the Islamic calendar. It is even said by our Holy Prophet ﷺ, this is a very important day, and any good that you do, this day, it will be rewarded, it will be multiplied. And when you fast this day, that fasting will be accepted. Your sins, that from the beginning,
yes,
and the sins that are coming are all forgiven.
For the coming year.
Yes, are all forgiven. So this is an opportunity, and it comes once in a blue moon. So one should,
once a year.
one should grab the opportunity.
Of course.
Yeah. So let's move on. We still have stories to deal with, Mr. Momodumbo.
So tell us what's on the menu.
Yes. Let's take a look at this. Rams, clothes, and sacrifice. Gambians struggle to celebrate Tobaski amid soaring cost.
Yeah, and this is the thing I was talking about. Rams, clothes, and sacrifice. Sacrifice, which is actually what this is about. They put last. In fact, they could have said shoes, clothes, and rams in that order, probably, in the way that people think. And every year we hear the same story, in the sense that people buying will tell you that it's very expensive. The people selling will tell you that because of the sefa. It's the same story. It changes every year. But when you consider that officially, this is the lowest inflation we've had for how many years, it doesn't quite square with what people. But people will always complain. And we've had at least a couple of stories that we've carried on QTV.
Sound check.
About how low inflation is, and yet people will tell you they don't feel it, and because they don't feel it, they assume it's high. So we will always get these stories about the soaring cost of this, soaring cost of that. And some of it is down to naked greed by people. So this morning, when we were coming, we heard people complaining about how they have doubled the cost of the fare.
All right. Mr. Adedrame, we were sliding into the newspaper perfectly. So, but we have Babukar Sise on the line.
We have him now? We've got with
better sound.
Yeah,
so Babukar, Alhaji Babukar Sise, if you are getting us from the tent in Makkah, how are you doing?
Yes, Balde, carry on.
Yeah, so Babukar, please, we just want you to summarize again. What is the situation down there? Now we are getting you loud and clear.
Yes, Balde, what I'm saying is, I think you are asking me about the significance of the day, right?
Yes, Babukar, try to establish, the sound before you start, talking. We want to hear you loud and clear.
Balde, can you come up with your question again?
Yes, you are currently, can you tell us what the situation is at the moment? We can see people sitting on a tent and of course, wearing white. What's happening down there?
Well, Balde, I'm not getting it clearly, but I believe you were asking about where we are and the significance of this day.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. We are here at Arafat. Gambian pilgrims left Makkah on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, and then we went to Mina. So we spent the night at Mina yesterday, and then we all left there yesterday night to come to Arafat. So right now we are at Arafat, where we are going to spend some time until in the evening, and we are going to leave Arafat for Muzdalifah. So Arafat is important because it is here that actually when your Hajj is accepted, God will actually heal it or forgive you for all your sins. So this place is very important, and no pilgrims they have to miss Arafat, because if you miss Arafat, you don't have Hajj. So Arafat is the real Hajj. If you miss other things during Hajj, other rites, you can compensate for them, by killing an animal or sacrificing something. But when you miss Arafat, the day of Arafat, which is today, there is no way that you can compensate for this. You actually miss the Hajj. So that's why we are now. So it's a very important day. It's very symbolic, and all the Gambian pilgrims are here, and we are all praying for ourselves, our families, our loved ones, and for the country. And we'll be here until in the evening, and in the evening we'll leave Arafat and we'll go to Muzdalifah. And Muzdalifah is also very important because that's where we are going to pick up our stones for the symbolic stoning of the devil at Jamarat, which will coincide on the day of Tobaski or Idul Adha. So that will happen on the day of Tobaski. When you guys are enjoying your Ram meet in the Gambia, we are here, doing our Hajj rites, stoning of the devil at the Jamarat. So that stoning will go on for 3 days. That will be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday will be the final stoning. And after the stoning, all pilgrims will move to Makkah. That means Hajj has officially come to an end.
Okay, interesting. So as far as the trip is concerned, what is the condition of our Gambian team down there?
Well, I didn't hear your question again.
Yes. So Babukar, thank you very much for talking to us on QTV this morning, and we'll hope to engage you more in days coming. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. So
for some reason, I think you have to replay that.
Yeah, we had some.
We were able to get some,
which was good.
We can see
and we are giving you so much.
I can remember
right now
few days back, it was very difficult to establish a connection between Babukar and the studio.
So that's what we are going to pray now.
He was on another Hajj. So it was difficult, but at least now we are able to know what's happening, and our people are safe and sound.
It's one of the things that I have to be honest, I dislike about doing live TV. And I always make the joke that human beings have learned to send somebody to the moon and bring them back safely. but we always struggle. You see it not just here in the West. You be on BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, and they're having, connectivity problems. I'm not sure why in this day and age. Sometimes it goes smoothly, sometimes it doesn't, but it should go smoothly every time because technology has advanced to that level, but, viewers would have seen and heard the struggles we've had this morning.
Absolutely.
It's a pity, but at least we were able to get something from him, and albeit it wasn't perfect in terms of sound quality and so on. But,
Yeah, so let's move on. I mean, there is another headline on the Fourier newspaper, and the headline, concern raised over growing trend of child labor. Well, you can see how many kids along the Tabokoto highway carry a lot of plates, water going around in and out.
They're everywhere.
They are everywhere, but they are more prevalent around Tabokoto. You can see them.
We've had our colleagues in the regions do stories about this. One of them was because I went to Farafenye and I was shocked at the number of children that I saw begging or hawking on the streets. They were selling various small items. And our colleague Don Williams did a very good story, I remember 2 or 3 years ago. And I don't think the situation has changed at all. I mean, the laws are there. They look fine in principle, because we want to be able to tell the world that we have laws against child labor. But the reality is that if you are a parent and you're struggling, you're poor, you don't think twice about sending your child out to sell on the streets, when they shouldn't. They should be in school. But so we kind of pay lip service to, we have these rules, we have these laws, but they're being violated every day massively.
Well, in fact, the people that are supposed to implement the laws, those are the people buying from these children on the streets. So at the end of the time, how are we going to, eradicate child
people
labor?
are buying, but also parents are selling them. If you're out on the street and you see somebody selling something you want, you're not going to say, I'm not going to buy from you because you're a child, because you're kind of disadvantaging that child from making what little money their parent has sent them out to make. But it's the parents who are sending them out there.
And even without it, we've normalized it.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't think in terms of whether I'm advantaging him or disadvantaging him. So you've got two sort of parallel sort of thoughts here. The norm.
Yeah, quite.
What are kids? Let's be honest, with the conventional, traditional view, we use kids for sort of economic purposes. It would be stupid not to be at the farm, to do the farming, or send you out to go and sell things to bring for the family. So for us, this is okay, isn't it? Really, it's just that now you have different views and ideas about how we should treat children. I call it the sort of clash between tradition and modernity, as it were.
Very much.
So it's just that sort of.
Because if you have a parent or parents who are poor, for them, telling them that your child needs to go and get educated for 6 or 7 years, there's like, but what about today? How am I going to eat today? If I can't go out and work or sell or whatever, I don't care about 6 or 7 years time or 10 or 15 years when my child might be a doctor, a lawyer, or a nurse or something.
Well, sometimes, situations can also be different. So, parents will not think it's bad to send their kids to go and sell.
It's we're saying. It's
the kids themselves won't think it's bad. As far as the child is not generous, who will be like, no, that's child labor. You understand? We were all doing that. Like I did a lot of selling. When I was a child.
Selling water and where?
Water. On Latrikunda market, I carried a lot of bowls selling cool water.
But you also went to school?
I went to school.
Yeah.
Weekends I go sell water for my mom, or sell ice for my mom. I did a lot of those things. I carry a lot of ice, a lot of water along that Latrikunda Bunti Marse. So for me, before that was a good feeling. I'm doing it, especially if I go home with a lot of dalasi in my hands and I give it to mom. That was good. Sometimes I steal 1 or 2 dalasi and put it in my pocket. So I feel that's happiness for me. But the international world, or the people that think, okay, this is child labor.
But this is it though. Just a minute. You see, but now your kids are not doing that.
They won't do it.
Because you know that that's not what
because I know
do.
That's
not what they should do. Exactly
so don't say Western world. You don't think.
You don't think
because I think Western now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
As he said, it's modernity.
No, listen, I'm thinking. You know, before our great grandparents, they bear a lot of kids. Why? It's not to take the kids to school, but they take these kids. They bear a lot because they want these kids to work in the farm. The notion has changed now. The mentality has changed because they were thinking like that. So now this trend has changed. We don't do those things.
No, the error there is to think that we own that kind of social arrangement. In all agrarian culture.
I was going to say.
Every agrarian culture in the world.
Russia, back in the day.
Anywhere, even in Europe, they used to have lots of kids to help in the farm. So agrarian cultures all over the world, they're all the same. You see, we tend to take what we do now and own it for ourselves. We think that it is African because we do not understand the history. It is human.
Because when machines replace those children on the farm, you don't need to send 10 kids.
No.
When the machine can do the work of 100 people.
Exactly.
So it's not about, whether you're African or not. Those same machines can work in Africa. You don't need to. And you don't need to send your children out.
Remember the Industrial Revolution?
Quite.
And the Luddites.
And
they didn't want the machines.
They wanted to break the machines.
They wanted to destroy the machines.
Because they said the machines were taking away.
Historically, a lot of things are just human. It's just that some cultures have decided that certain practices, we don't want them anymore. But just because we still espouse them, hold on to it, doesn't mean that it's ours. It is a common fun. It's humanity.
It's a general thing.
It's human beings, not ours.
Yeah, so that is what it is. Let's move on. But do you think we would be able to eradicate child labor? I mean,
you mean in the Gambia?
Yes, in the Gambia.
If you
considering the economic situation.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, if you get to a situation where it becomes enforced and enforceable, if they rounded up these kids and took them back to their parents, as they should, it would stop, of course. But we don't enforce it. And because we pay lip service to it, as I said, we have the laws there saying this is illegal, but it's not, they're not enforced.
And we need other things as well. Because remember the work of Charles Dickens, how kids were treated.
Yeah, quite.
So, let's use it as an example.
Yes,
how did they get out of that?
His literature shamed the country into saying, is this how we treat children in workhouses and so on? And that, my God, for many people that was the first experience of it, reading about it, in novels, and then they realized that these novels were based on fact. They weren't pure fiction. And then they thought, gosh, this is disgraceful. Is this how we treat members of our...
So, and then the law came in, and you then gradually education being extended, isn't it? So many things must go together for it eventually, sooner or later, for it to change.
Guys,
but it can be changed.
A very interesting headline again. Local carpenter struggles to survive as furniture import surges. I mean, you can see a lot of containers coming, a lot of beddings, a lot of, different furniture.
You just drive around, you see them.
You just go by.
And I just see there's a new furniture shop opened on.
Yesterday, a brother of mine bought a sofa like this, just like this, for 8,000. And he came home saying, I bought this for 8,000. So you can see how it's competing, our local
But you know what? Yes, it's competing, but you know what is even more responsible for that? We have a kind of massed thing, Carpenters Association or whatever they are. When I saw at their showroom some of the quality of stuff that they do, I was impressed. And I have to say, I'm ashamed to say, I even said to them, I didn't realize you could produce quality like this in the Gambia. I said, why is it that nobody knows about it? I've never seen it advertised, ever. And if that is the case, if you have quality stuff that is being... there's a lot of rubbish, we have to say, that's being produced here. That's why people go for the imported stuff. But if they knew that there was quality stuff being produced here, people would buy it.
Mr. Adi, someone is thinking the same. It's simple. Most of our local furniture has poor finishing.
Yeah, that's it. And yet when you go to there's a place along Bertil Harding Highway where these Carpenters Association or whatever they're called. If people need to go there and see the quality of stuff that can be produced, that is being produced here. I bet you they'll be astonished that this was produced here in the Gambia, because we're so used to rubbish quality that we think that is the norm. And yet there is good quality, but I've never seen it advertised on QTV. I've never had them come here and talk about it. Why? And of course, if they don't do that, nobody knows it's there.
Exactly. And sometimes if we talk about price, why is it that they tend to be more expensive than the import?
Yeah, quite. Although these ones, I don't think they were. They were kind of
well, in other countries, they've controlled the importation of certain things. I mean, the likes of car tires, they've banned it, because most of them, they think, okay, these are car tires that are used until they are outdated and packed.
Gambia, we will never get to that. 50% of the cars on the road here would never be allowed on any European. 50, maybe 60, 70% even.
And I don't buy my car tires new. I buy
never
them
mind
from,
the car tires.
From
the cars would never be allowed. 50 or 60% of the cars that are on the roads here in the Gambia would not be allowed on any European countries' roads. None. And yet the rubbish that they throw away, we end up driving around here. And we don't care. You know, and that's why we have poor brakes, poor finish, everything. You know, we accept the kind of rubbish quality and we just kind of shrug it off. You know, because we don't insist. So yeah, that is not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, so that is what it is, and it's going to affect our local market as well. I mean, so in case a person want to set up a company, you're going to be competed. By importers importing certain goods here.
If you could produce something of this quality here in the Gambia, and I could buy it made by a Gambian here in the Gambia, why wouldn't I? Why would I buy from outside? You have to compete. If I can get it better and it's from, I don't care if it's better than what you're going to, why should I buy just because it's Gambian? I should buy because it's of good quality.
And do you know, sometimes reliability leads to many people not patronizing certain local producers here. For example, I can remember there was a time my mom bought furniture from, a carpenter. You know, I was a little boy then, but it took my mom many years before she received her center table. Can you imagine? The chairs went until now. They've finished. Their time.
And you were still waiting for the center table.
Her center table. You know, so this one you just go buy, come fix, and
it's all there.
So reliability is also very important in whatever you do, Mr. Mboch.
Reliability.
That's a very good
price.
Point. It's a social fund. This is what we talk about. We've talked about it so many times that the trust, that social trust, is not there.
It's not
really.
There.
You don't really mean your word. You making whatever, for instance, that furniture takes so long.
Quite.
Or I lend you money. You say, well, you'll pay me next month, but it will take 6 months. So,
or the tailor who tells you, come and collect on Friday.
Absolutely.
And then Friday turns into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and another Friday.
You're reminding me, my outfit is at the tailor. I need to go pick it today. He said yesterday, but I didn't go. I'll go pick it today.
It's your fault.
So another headline, Gambian lawyers demand protection for Sierra Leone academic and journalist.
This is a guy whose first name escapes me. I could probably look it up because I think I have his contact details. Something Ba.
So what is he trying to say, Mr.?
Well, he's a very harsh critic of Julius Maada Bio and the ruling regime. He's written lots of exposés on their, sort of corruption that he alleges around Bio, and so. But I'm not sure what the protection is that they're asking for, because I think he's due to visit the Gambia, and I don't think he is in any danger. So I think this is a bit hysterical for me. I don't think we certainly don't have a record of arresting journalists just because they criticize the Sierra Leonean government. So I'm not sure what this is all about, frankly. I think it's something out of nothing.
And that's it. I also want to know what protection they are talking about. Do they have anything specific? Because this is really general. I do not know what they mean.
Well,
and what's the threat?
What's the threat?
What are the risks? That's what
Sierra Leone might have its own problems, like any other country. But I don't see Sierra Leone as a very I mean,
I've never been aware of anybody being scared to come to the Gambia just because they're a harsh critic of the Sierra Leonean government.
Exactly.
And I think it's not about to start with him. So I'm not
exactly.
sure.
But people,
I really don't know what this is all about.
People have their opinions to say.
Yeah,
let them say. Yeah. So Jegan calls for national dialogue for a united opposition. Yeah. We have Lawyer Dabo's picture. Can you put the Standard newspaper on the screen, please, Director, so that we can clearly see, I mean,
all the personalities.
Yes, we have Lawyer Dabo, Halifa Sallah, Ersa Fall, and of course Mama Kande of the GTSC.
And I'm curious to know, who is this Jegan? Do we know specifically?
Yeah, we don't know which Jegan this is.
Do you have any idea?
Well, we would
because
have
we haven't seen the we haven't seen the newspaper.
Jegan's picture.
So the idea is clear enough.
It's not the first time we've heard of this, that, you know, form a coalition to bring, because, hang on a minute, it's happened before, isn't it? Jammeh, you know, I've said it many, many times here, there was a coalition against him, and he wasn't forced out through a coup d'etat. The ballot box is what dealt with him, and that was a coalition that did that. So it's not unusual for the Gambia. And it's not unusual to hear these sorts of things. And we've been hearing it for a while now. And it may or may not happen. I think the kind of competing egos might mean it doesn't ever come to anything more than talk. But we will see.
Absolutely. And really, we need to consider this in the context of circumstance and decisions. You see, the 2016 circumstance, people were just fed up and wanted to get rid of Yahya. So it was really easier to form a coalition in many ways.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So they didn't have to agree on anything. Nobody cared about that. So that happened. This time round, what is the driving factor?
Yes, is there a
for
unifying
them to form a coalition?
Yeah.
I don't seem to sense any.
I don't.
As it were.
I don't.
So maybe amongst them, you might have this sort of charismatic, brilliant sort of manipulator of things who can bring them together. I do not know. Right. But I really can't see it right now.
Because, you know, if you have a coalition, you have to present a viable alternative to whatever is the status quo. And the thing that people complain about here are the same things people complain about in every single African country, possibly in every country. So, you know, what is it? You know, they talk about corruption, they talk about, you know, cost of living and so on. Well, you're not going to change the cost of living just by removing one president and you know, and I'm not sure you're even going to deal with corruption just by, you know, because these are things, these things are so deeply embedded that it's easier to talk about doing away with them than the reality of it, you know. So yeah, what does a coalition have to
you know,
offer?
when we talk about the opposition coming together as one party to form a coalition, people talk about, okay, the problem that they're going to get is who's going to be the flag bearer.
Well, that's why I mentioned about the egos. You have to bury your ego and say one person is the flag bearer. And if you get to that point, then, you know, we look at Senegal next door. And sometimes we tend to forget that it was actually a coalition that ended up unseating, you know, Macky Sall's chosen successor. So, you know, from the region, coalitions, we've seen that they can work, including, of course, here. But like you rightly say, unless you can get to the point where we say, okay, this is the person who's going to be the flag bearer, let's all rally behind that, then, you know, elections next year.
And when you are ready or you are serious about what you're saying, you need to put your house in order now. Otherwise, in fact, it should have been a very long time. Start
campaigning now, pretty much, you know, from now till the election, non-stop campaigning to establish yourself, establish that person as a viable alternative to the status quo. Yeah.
Exactly. We cannot deny the fact that the United Democratic Party is still a bigger party. It's still very,
You mean a big party?
It's a big party.
Yes.
In the Gambia.
Yes,
so we can deny. IGP.
It's really, honestly, it's the main opposition party. Go to the National Assembly, you'll see it. You know what I mean? These are the
statistics tell you that they are
the parties that matter. Really, you know. Really.
So, okay, so we have Momodu Gajaga on the line.
He's a GTSC bus terminal.
Okay. Yeah, so let's talk to Gajaga. Good morning, Gaj.
Good morning, Ibrahim Balde.
How are you? Are you also preparing to take a bus to Basse or Farafenye?
Well, not at all. Okay. For me, I am doing my Eid prayers in Brikama. So I am here basically to bring you an update on people who are vying, you know, to go to their different destinations, villages around the inner part of the country, or if you like, in the hinterland, some of them in the provincial Gambia. Hundreds of them are here queuing, waiting for their turn to get into the bus to go to their different communities.
Exactly. So please tell us this situation. I mean, what's happening? Is everything moving smoothly?
Not at all. Not anything close from that, because when it comes to
we're not getting sound in the studio,
here,
please.
Some of them claim they're here since 4 a.m. and they are yet to depart to their destinations. Some, yes, for them it is getting closer and closer. There is a bus that just departed not long ago, and if you look at it in the other aspect, for some also they're waiting for their turn. Some because maybe in terms of their ticketing something is wrong or something like that, but there are hundreds of people here. It's a little bit chaotic, but everyone is calmly waiting for their turn. But you have others also who are not happy with the service that has been offered so far.
Exactly. I mean, Mr. Adedrame. Sometimes I tend to think, so Gajaga will engage a few people, then we continue with him. Yeah, so Gajaga, can we talk to a few people?
Yes, of course. The Deputy Managing Director is here.
Okay. Yes, we can engage him.
Yes. All right, I'm going to talk to him.
Okay.
Hello. All right, gentlemen, your name and your position.
I am Balamin Dabo, the Deputy General Manager of Gambia Transport Service Company.
Okay. Today, hundreds of people are here queuing, waiting for their turn to get to their destinations for the Eid prayers. That is the Eid al-Adha Tobaski prayers. Tell us what's the situation here.
The situation is pleasant and sometimes a little bit chaotic, understandably. We have almost about thousands of people that want to go do the Eid prayers in their respective homes. And then, so we're trying to provide as much service as we can for them to go and, of course, reach their destination safely. So by the looks of it, we have deployed almost about, today alone, we have deployed almost about 70, 80 buses that are going. So we want to ferry everybody to go to their respective destinations and come back safely. So that's what we're trying to do right now.
I would imagine that there are enough buses here to take everybody to wherever they want to go, but why is this queue still long?
Buses are never enough, my friend. I think that if you understand the landscape of the country and the amount of people that will always want to go, so you have a lot more people than the buses. So we have more passengers that are coming, wanting to go to their destination. And all because we have that safety element, and of course we try to reach our destination safely. And people are not trying to take more sprinters, the risk, hustle, and everything that is beyond them, basically. So what we have done this time around is to create those services, whereby every time we have the boarding passes. Last year we have done it. This year we made an advancement in our boarding passes. And remember, our fares have still been the same. So we have not adjusted our fares. We have maintained the same fares that we have, just like our normal services that we operate to everybody. So what we have basically done is provide that affordable transport for the public, basically.
Off the microphone, I spoke to some people who shared their frustration in terms of coming in very early, but still they didn't get a slot to go to their destination. What is the cause of that?
Everybody wants to travel today. Most people want to travel today. And most people, the one thing that we have done booking in advance, right? So we have deployed almost right now 70. We're still deploying. For those that don't have tickets, we're still deploying. The reason we're trying to do that is we're trying to satisfy the general public. And we're also trying to make sure that everybody goes. But for somebody who has booked in advance and for somebody who came without tickets, it's going to be very, very difficult. So priorities are for those that are booked in advance for them to go. And of course, we try to ferry others as well. Look, honestly, everybody will go. Anybody who comes to GTSC, we make sure you go today. So we're trying to make sure our buses that have gone already to come back and ferry the others that have not been here right now, that are here, but they don't have tickets. That's exactly what we're trying to do.
We've received one complaint is the person claimed he booked earlier. He's here since 4 a.m. but couldn't make it to his destination. He's rather kind of unfortunately missed the bus or whatsoever. What's the cause of that?
One of the best things I know is there must be lack of concentration somewhere on his part, because the buses that you have booked for, we have an announcement here, we have a speaker here that will usually announce which bus you need to go for. Sometimes you might lack concentration just a little bit and the bus will leave you behind. But that being the case, it doesn't matter. Everybody will still be ferried and gone to their respective destinations.
Maybe in a short while you can say something in the local language. You speak Mandinka, right?
Yes.
Badi ngolatol mimbenji bekang felale jang GTSC. Jannom Gambia la bosi kunda bati nyille kam mul samba banko kam fanna bela bi mbengalon ne ko samam banna salolti mul laftata la banna salole ya foybe basele bang foybe bansanne bang foybe jara somale foybe nyomi ma fangol la bang nyille kam mul samba ila dulalto purisitano kayra yana kayra bawo bosol ka domon silo kanne andu ke hakilotu je bakel ni la deputy managing director le bijang finance diamu jamale kol bijang nyadile folo se to di ma fa mol
Nteto mubala men dawalati ndaleng na general manager la normal on court.
Bala mina fo mole bi mol fele siata jam mo keme le bi jang na ma wuli kili mo fo si milialon ko le be lafta tala salo le la dinkiralto banko kam fanna bela afo mole kol bi janyadi
jang kol be janyamen alhamdulillah mbakata kana pour mol men be la fatala banna salo la pour ne be samba kayra kono ani ye futela dulalto kayra kono toñalen mo wuli le be jankay ñim fenko nañ service o na dati kabirin tanalungo pour mol mel la fatala banna solo le isaji ise la ticket ol sanno in advance so na menke na boarding pass le dada me yalon ko isinano yetto save yela boarding pass ota isaji la fa joy la wato mena isaji boso fintina ye joyna la isaji kana bata so ni yatara for example e nyanta na la tala worawlale wala la fatala tala lul na bosol sata jan me yalon ko ni til sabatil nani komanto ni to safenu ya boarding pass dila ibina no na janne tala lulu boso membe sambala ay samba tala lulu bare mbe mem faranke kan wala mel yalon ko e ma wato soto non pour kana ticket o kana boarding pass o sang pour nse be sambano na bosol me yalon ko be tata dolbe mur kan na pour ka dol fanan sambano la fa menna wala momo nata GTSC bi ne be samba yata banna salila satol to kayra kono yana kayra kono
akamunta ko mol bi jele milan ko kolya kol soto dol ko inata jan junale dol ko kabrin talanani bi jang hanisa e mantano mune yo sabu
mol dol sinano jan to nyale yana juna aseke no man tiketo soto to nyale fana yana no juna ila tiketo bi jang bari na announcement soto jana speaker me yalon ko aka announce le boso boss fintita bari bitum hadama di mo buga mistake ko bay wato do be je hakilo setara ku do kono ya announcement o ke mamoy bar boso ila boso nyanda dunna men wayetu jang bar hani bi wakole yako nalo na betarra jan bar wakole yako fara na menke ngole ko momo be jang hôpital nde motu la ko ma jang
bar mo siata bakel de am mo besitano
mbe boskundale nembe boskunda ngole ko bosol bina boskundale bosko balbe sambalal
ko kini nende terrain kabrim futata jan de ngajele ko GTSC bosol mimbal bulu isiata bakele anda se mobe sambanole problème to sotola bari mola siya kamala ay njakal domandi mebi se kuma dantam fo mole woto
e dan mbuga mur ko ma fanan men kata kabirin tele lungo bosol katale aneni bos tata bolon kono wala tata farafenge wala tata koyna na tata ka murnan so na murtanan wo bosol le ka nyorri cycle pour moleta bitum yalon fana bosol fana wende kom e nyande ceklal do wondi bar mumota bos tata na bosol men be so la kamen talulu feng e be bo bori kan e bitaka e binaka pour que mol samba doron kayra kon alon ya jibe fana ndolla pasol malafa wala tane mulbe judumari njam ni yana pasol structure jibe na normal service ol bebe nyamen hani feng mata lay kono a bebe ta kan so na wala ka nyisilo
yeah hello okay
baraka
bari wala la baraka ba ke wolom balamenti nimbe diam kam yalon ko atelom director nyatolang normalon koti jang GTSC ni nata boss fanala milalon ko be do ko la jang mol bi jele milalon ko laftak diamule sa jibe dal fo mobe sotolal mi alon ko nabe diamula no bari fela le jang GTSC la boss kunda bato mi alon ko jannom depoti bosol kalo janneto mol kanana janneto pour ka dum bosol kono kata dulal to dam yalon ko ilafta tala salola dol be santoto dol be bolon kono dol be dula jamalto mil yalon ko ilafta tala je pour kata ila mol kidi mandi banna salola karola nga mo fanan soto jang mi yalon ka bina diamu lagne as nzanyi ni ngato di mala madi se diamu no man ka kangola wala suru akangola e kanyu malma. Okay, English is fine. Okay, I have somebody here. He's a passenger, potentially going to his destination. Tell us your name.
Okay, good morning, Tess. Good morning. My name is Dauda Kande. Yeah, I'm going for Tobaski. Yeah.
Tell us about your experience today.
Today, since I came here, since 4 o'clock in the morning, so we are here. There's no ticket. They are not giving us ticket. We are saying, wait. They said they're going to give us ticket around 8 o'clock. They cancel it, they say now 11 o'clock, they're going to give us ticket. And they are giving these Senegalese ticket. Why the governments are here? This is not fair. Yeah.
Did you book in advance or you just came here today to buy your ticket and go to Basse?
Early in the morning, 4 o'clock, I don't book a ticket. I came here to buy a ticket and go to Basse. Yeah. Yeah. But the way they are doing their service is not fair. We are Gambians, they should give us respect. Before they give the foreigner ticket, they should give the government first. We go. Because they are giving, those are going to Dakar. Yeah, ticket. For us, we are here since 4 o'clock in the morning, till now. Yeah.
What was the latest communication did you get from them in terms of getting your ticket and also be able to go to Basse?
They say, 11 o'clock, they're going to issue ticket. But now we are waiting for them. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's Dauder expressing his frustration there. He said he's going to Basse. He came in early, 4 a.m., but couldn't get the ticket to go to Basse. So he's been promised that later on he'll be issued a ticket.
That's a different view, Momodu Gajaga.
At least perform the Eid prayers with his family. But basically that's what is happening here so far. A bit chaotic, long queues, and people are waiting for their turn to go to their destinations.
Thank you.
Well, Ibrahim Abalde, if you have a question, I am waiting.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I mean, there is a little bit, miscommunication or probably misunderstanding between the passenger and the GTSC management. I mean, the guy is saying they've been there for a very long time without getting access to tickets. I mean, but the manager is telling us, I mean, they are trying to fly all these people to their destination. Sometimes, don't you think these are sugar-coated? I hope Gajaga is getting us. He's not getting that.
Yes, Ibrahim.
Yes. So Gajaga,
I think I should have another guy who is in fact responsible when it comes to allocating the ticket services.
Okay, please, can we talk to him?
Yes. Yes, let's change the shot. All right, gentlemen, your name?
My name is Modu Jeng.
You work at the GTSC?
Marketing assistant, Gambia Transport Service Company.
Tell us, how is it going? Since 4 a.m., some people are here. They claim they've bought their tickets, and others finding it very difficult to get to their destination.
My name is Modu Jeng. Yeah, thankfully, everything is not going smooth because for some of us, we even have to sleep here. People from the traffic department spend the night here. Some of us came early as 2 a.m. And as we all know, the day before Tobaski is always busy everywhere. It's not just here. So we have to make arrangements. Since 5 o'clock, we've been releasing services. So to couple releasing services, every hour releasing 4 services might be very difficult and can be very challenging. But we've tried to balance it. So far, we've released more than 15 services, and we are expecting to release more. We are also constrained by the fact that some customers do come late. Some people came with their boarding passes very late, so we have to make arrangements for all of those things. So we try to adjust to what the demand is, and inshallah we will fulfill the demands. Our aims currently is to clear the ground before 3 p.m. and hopefully we will do that. Yeah.
What's going to be the fate of people who you said earlier on, bought their tickets in advance but couldn't get here on time and the boss has already left? So what is going to be their fate?
Yeah, we've been very tactful with some of those people. Some of them we direct them to other services. Others we've made so a bus is provided for them. no matter what and how, everyone who comes here would be given a bus. There, no single person would be left here. So people that came in late, we are redirected to other services, and it's been going smoothly. There might be few hiccups, but we are addressing them along the way. And before the day ends, if everything the ground would be cleared.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Brahma Balde. Well, that is one of the marketing officers talking to us about how the situation is and how things are so far here.
Exactly.
I think now I will get back to you again.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Gajega, for giving us an update.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, yes. So, I mean, Momodo Gajega Daya. But, I mean, quite very interesting comment from the Basse guy, the guy going to Basse. I mean, I think sometimes we need to grow up. I mean, to a level where we stop thinking this is a foreigner and
because there are people who they're probably Senegalese who haven't been able to travel either to where they want to get to, and we need to stop this nonsense. I hear it all the time in different situations. Or they prioritizing the foreigners. That's rubbish. Some people have booked, some people have pre-booked. I think the chaos comes because you have a mixture of those who have pre-booked and those who have just turned up in the expectation that I'm going to get a bus just because I've got here at 4 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't square that is what is going to happen. And some people are being very patient. And I've never, since I've come here, I've never heard anybody saying, you know, oh, we went there in the afternoon and there were still 10 people who couldn't get to their destination because they were left behind. Yes, it's chaotic, but I think there's always the kind of misunderstanding. And as you mentioned, miscommunication.
True.
If you have people who have pre-booked, of course they're going to give priority to those people.
Absolutely.
Rather than just because you've been there for 4 or 8 hours doesn't mean you're going to get priority over somebody who's pre-booked.
I mean, you came late. What happened to book your tickets early?
Yeah.
I mean that is very important. If I am to travel to Basse, what I do, I join the Friday bus, but I book my ticket on Thursday.
Yeah.
You know, then Friday go get my.
I think one of the speakers there mentioned about people always leave it till the day before. And so if people went yesterday and the day before yesterday, we wouldn't have that. But when you have, you know, 60, 70 or 80% of the people wanting to go leave it till today, then you're going to get that. You can understand why that is. But also if people pre-booked, then we wouldn't get this situation at all. But of course, until and unless that changes, then that's the thing. I mean, they operate the same method in England where you can just use the app to book your seat. And then you just turn up and you walk onto your bus. And those who haven't done so, who just turn up at the bus terminal at Victoria Station, they have to wait till all of those who have pre-booked, because some people might pre-book and not be able to make it. Then you might be able to join that bus, you know. But,
exactly. So, Mr. Momodou Mbodj,
yes.
I mean, a bit chaotic at the GTSC grounds. Everybody wants to go up country for prayer. Imagine if I was supposed to go to Basse, I would have left very early.
Yeah, quite. But would you have pre-booked?
I wonder, at what point in our history have we really done things in an orderly way, especially with stuff like that?
2016 election.
So it is not about
2016 election, isn't it?
Well, it's one.
That was orderly done.
For me, the most important information I got from this piece is that GTSC, the sort of guarantee, can you guarantee it? But if voucher, everybody will go.
They will go. Yeah.
You see, the orderliness is not going to be there.
That's the headline.
But as long as the service,
no one will be left behind.
No one will be left behind.
Yeah.
That's it. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah. I mean, whether it's orderly or disorderly,
that's it.
It's kind of immaterial.
Take everybody.
But what we don't want to hear is that people are left behind.
That's it.
Exactly.
You know. So yes, let it be chaotic, but let everybody go.
Exactly.
You know?
And if you go to garages like Bundung Garage, Brikama Garage, you can also see how people are scrambling to get set plus or any other
and just drive along the highway. Just drive along the length of Bertil Harding Highway today, as I had to do. You know, and you'll see people with their, as I said, these kind of Ghana must go bags, ready, waiting for transport, and vehicle after vehicle would pass them because they were also heavily laden with these bags and of people going somewhere. Many of them were coming to GTSC.
Imagine getting your Tobaski ram becomes a struggle, and going off country becomes another struggle for you.
It's a time of struggle, and maybe it's a kind of reminder to us about the significance.
So in fact, to make it easy for you, I mean, you at least leave maybe earlier, 3 days, 4 days before Tobaski.
I think people tend not to do that because of work commitments. Because imagine if everybody at every workplace said, I'm leaving on the Tuesday rather than the Thursday, offices will be empty around the country, and businesses will suffer as well. So people know that their workplaces will not allow them until that. So there is also that element of it. It's not a kind of easily solvable.
Thank you,
matter.
Mr. Adedrame, Mr. Mamadou Mbodj. We wanted to establish a connection between us in the studios and our reporter at the Banjul Ferry Terminal.
I was going to say Usman Jatta is there. Are we able to?
Unfortunately, we won't be able to connect to Usman Jatta today. And we won't be able to connect to him tomorrow either.
He'll be off to the village tomorrow.
Yes, so that is what it is.
So it's happy Tobaski.
Thank you very much. So happy Tobaski to
everybody.
Everybody. You are all invited for a grill.
Eid al-Adha.
I'm inviting you people for a grill.
Just us in the studio, the viewers.
I'm inviting you and the viewers for a grill. Maybe witness many more Tobaskis. Maybe come back here next year and talk about Tobaski in peace. Yeah, so until then, this is all we have. Enjoy the rest of our... But first, I would like to thank each and every person who contributed, to the success of this morning. And we're thanking the camera crew, our director, Aliou Jallo, our executive producer, Jibril, Mr. Adedrame, Mr. Mamadou Mbodj, Julde. And we're saying, until then, Baba.
You forgot Jenaba Sonko.
Oh, she's married. I forgot about her.
How can you possibly forget?
No, she's
Sonko
married
Sabali.
now.
Really?
She's enjoying her thing, her honeymoon.
Sonko Sabali. She'll be back next week.
Okay, all right. So until then, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.